What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Bottom Line on Sports. He's Jeremy Pink. I'm Jean-Jacques Taylor, and this is a show about the intersection of sports and money. Now, before we get started, make sure you subscribe, rate, review. Otherwise, we'll get really angry and we won't root for your favorite sports team. Now, to kick it off, we like to start off with a number of the week. I've got one for you. It is $374,000. That's the amount of money that the streaker at the Super Bowl won. Now, here's what happened.
The streaker won money? I didn't hear that. Yeah.
Okay.
But again,
actually, he had pants on. He had no shirt.
Hold on a second. But anything that anybody wants to know about streakers, you're the man. You're exactly who to go to. Yeah.
Check this out, man. He bet legally $50,000, 50 bands, that someone would run on the field during the Super Bowl. And then he ran on the field during the Super Bowl. He won $375,000, paid a $1,000 fine, and in my opinion, walked away a winner.
Yeah.
Now, would you have the cojones to do that in your younger years?
Absolutely not. Yeah. But what's so the wherever he bet, I don't know where he bet. They honored that bet.
Yeah. Thus far. Now maybe they'll try to dishonor it later, but
they
honored it.
Knowing absolutely nothing about this, my guess is that bet ultimately won't be honored, but I could be wrong.
Well, maybe he collected the money first and then went and started broadcasting what he did.
Yeah, I would never tell anybody that. So I think that's his mistake. I think we got to follow up on this story. I actually hadn't seen that.
Yeah,
but it's good. What do you think when a streaker comes on TV? I remember when we were kids, they would show the person running on the field. Probably in the last 25 years, TV now takes a close up and make sure the audience doesn't see it. I think that's the right move, personally.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a played out thing now.
Yeah,
so it's not funny. The question is, what's the wildest thing you've done that you can tell us about as a young man? I mean, have you snuck into a concert? You snuck somewhere you weren't supposed to be?
Yeah. I don't want to talk about that. It's nothing. But by the way, my life is so boring that it's not that it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing because I can't think of anything. That's how dull my life is. So I'm not.
I'm not that far behind you.
I'm not that exciting. Yeah.
The most exciting thing I've done is sneak into a couple of Super Bowl parties where you had to go through the back door and walk through the kitchen and go through the curtain and come out on the other way. And the last time I did that many years ago, probably 20 years ago, I ended up on a dance floor dancing with Queen Latifah.
Oh, there you go.
So there's my wild engagement.
Wow.
Now, what's your number?
Wow, streakers and Queen Latifah. Mine is a lot less interesting. My number is $2.5 million. That's the amount of money that Sam Darnold earned in his contract for winning the Super Bowl.
Wow, is that right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That number got past me. I hadn't read anything about an incentive clause. Now, here's the funny thing. I mean, let's keep it honest. Let's keep it a buck. 100. You know damn well when they wrote that contract, they thought there was no way he was going to get that $2.5 million.
Well, that's what I was talking about. There was once, and I won't say where I've worked, but I had a contract written once where it's certainly not to that level, but for me it was a significant amount of money, and it was written in such a way. And I won't. If I say what it is, you'll be able to figure it out.
Right.
And it was written in such a way that it was like, yeah, we'll throw that in there for you. With not one person thought that we would get it, and we did. It reminded me. So I had a Sam Darnold moment before Sam Darnold did, but this was a number of years ago. It's crazy because a lot of these contracts there's a lot of these incentives that are in there, and I thought that was a good one for Darnold.
And it's a good amount of money, but it's not outrageous, and so that's probably why they included. I wonder if he got $2.5 million for getting to the Super Bowl. I wonder if he got some bonus for getting to the NFC Championship game and all of that.
I didn't see that, but I would imagine there's or what? Yeah,
or maybe it
probably.
was, or maybe that was the totality of the
Yeah,
bonuses he
yeah. I
earned
think
in the offseason.
that's generally how it works. Is that if you get here, you make X, and then here 2X, and here 3X, that sort of
Now,
thing.
the one time I had something like that, it had nothing to do with money. I was doing a radio show, a daily radio show at Dallas with a guy named Matt McLaren.
Hmm.
And when it was 2 years into it, my former partner got dismissed, and Matt joined the show with me. And we were 31st out of 31st in Dallas. And our boss said to us, he said, "You guys got an uphill climb, but if you can never crack the top 10, I'll buy you a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue, which is like $150,
Okay.
$200."
Yeah.
And so he just said that offhand because it was so preposterous. And then, of course, we cracked the top 10.
Oh, wow.
And we hadn't really thought about it, but he sent us a text. Hey, after your show, come down to my office. I need to talk to you. And we're like, Jesus, what if we screwed up now? And so we're walking down there. We walk in, and he's got 3 shot glasses and a bottle. And he's like, "Fellas, I told you."
Good for
And
him.
so we had a nice shot at noon at 1 o'clock that day because we had cracked the top 10 in Dallas.
That's great. No, that's a good manager who does that, who remembers, and that's great. That's a
And then
good story.
4 months later, ESPN got out the radio business, local radio business, and we all got fired.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could talk about that another day. The radio business has just been decimated. You know,
As
yeah,
This is all I say about the radio business. And somebody told me this when I got into it. They said, "Make radio your girlfriend, not your wife."
good advice.
Yeah,
That's
no, it
good
was.
advice.
It
Yeah,
was.
if you see what's happening with, WFAN, which is the 24-hour sports channel here in the New York area, if you see what's happening there, it's sad to see because that has been such a great channel, and I know a lot of people who are alums of that, and it's kind of tough to see kind of how it's kind of just going through what the entire radio industry is going through, and it's kind of sad to see.
Well, let's move on to happier talk, which is the Seattle Seahawks, the Super Bowl champs, 29-13 over the New England Patriots. And now, what?
I predicted 24-14 and said I couldn't see a way that New England could win, and I said I think I'm missing something, but that's pretty close.
No, I'm not too far behind you. And I've been doing this for years where I do before every Cowboys game or every big game, I go on Twitter with a little
Hmm.
video,
Hmm.
speak now or shut up later, and I
Hmm.
give my score. And I started doing that because so many people, you put your prediction out there, they wait to see what the final score is. And then if you're wrong, they want to come and yell at you and talk
Yeah,
about
yeah,
how
yeah.
dumb you are. And I kept vacillating between 26-13, 24-13, 23-13. And I think I finally settled at 24. I might have settled at 24-13 or 23-13.
Yeah, I think ours were very close, is what I remember. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's right.
And my whole thing was kind of like yours is their offense has been so shady in the postseason that now this worked in reverse with our football team. I thought if they don't help them, they can't win. And I thought like that when Ohio State played Miami. If
Hmm.
we don't help them, they can't win. But then we went right out there and helped them, and then
Yeah,
they won.
right,
Now
right.
they deserve to win, so I don't want to hear anything from the
Yeah,
Miami
yeah, they did.
people.
They did.
But we helped them, and then
Yeah, yeah. No, Miami
then
won.
they
Miami
took
won.
care of
Yeah,
business.
yeah.
So the Seahawks have an interesting situation because they're owned by a trust. Now, I don't have it with me. I should have gotten it. My man Jerry Brewer, one of my close friends in the business, he's a columnist with The Athletic. He wrote a fantastic piece in The Athletic last week during the Super Bowl in San Francisco about the Seahawks owner and how she made the two monumental decisions that got them to the Super Bowl. One, she was like, "Hey, Russell Wilson, I know you want more money. We ain't giving it to you. I'll holler at you." And gave John Schneider the freedom to go trade him. And then two, she went ahead and rubber stamped the decision to fire Pete Carroll, even though he was a quote legend in Seattle for what
Hmm.
he had done for the
Hmm.
organization. And
Hmm.
those two decisions, as you can see, they got Sam Darnold, they got Mike McDaniel, they win the Super Bowl. But apparently, it's in a trust, and the NFL has been pressuring them to sell the team
Well, they
because they're
have to.
like,
They're obligated to sell it.
"Now, check this out. They're obligated, but there's no deadline on when you have to sell it." Or if there is a deadline, it's like decades out. Like you've got 20 years to sell it.
Okay. Okay. I
And that's why
thought.
it's tricky. But the NFL wants them to sell it so that you can raise the prices of all the other
Mhm.
teams right now. Although I don't know who else wants to sell their team, but maybe they see what Seattle got and they'll decide they want to sell it.
Yeah, but I think what I think is amazing is the timing of the sale is after the Super Bowl. I've seen estimates of the thing. It was owned by Paul Allen, who was one of the
Right.
Microsoft founders, right? And when he passed away, he handed it off and said it's got to be sold over whatever. Maybe it's not an official deadline, but it has to be sold. And and so they're gonna sell it now, and the I've seen they could get anywhere between 9 and 11 million for it. So let's say they can get
Billion.
10, a billion. Yeah. So let's say they can get 10 billion for it.
Yeah.
That's pretty remarkable.
What the holdup, according to Jerry, and actually, it's funny because we'd actually talked about this when we were in San Francisco last
Hmm.
week. I was there doing some work for the JJT Media Group,
Hmm.
and he was talking about. I don't think they've sold the Blazers yet, so you got to sell the Blazers, and there were a bunch of other properties they needed to sell before they sold the Seahawks,
Hmm.
and that's why he was saying, yeah, they definitely have to sell it, but there's not really a set timetable when you have to sell it.
Right.
But as you know, the NFL wants you to sell it ASAP because it helps all the other teams.
Well, I also think the sale now, I think the last sale was the Commanders a couple of years ago for about
Right.
for about 6 billion. That was kind of a forced sale. But since that time, you've had private equity enter the market. You've had, the just the natural increase in the value of the franchise over the last couple of years. This is a very well-run, valuable franchise. In general, they just won the Super Bowl. I think this thing could go above ten billion. I really do.
Yeah, it's funny. I wonder what it would have been if they hadn't won the Super Bowl. They just had a regular Seattle season that went 10-7 and either missed the playoffs or lost in the first round. How much
Yeah.
does the Super Bowl win worth?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it probably would have gone, let's say it goes for 10 billion. I think if they hadn't won the Super Bowl, it would have gone for 9.5 billion. I just think there's so few franchises and there's so much money that's looking to be put to work in the NFL now by places and capital that couldn't do it before up until the last few years. So I think there's a lot of demand for it. I will say though that I'm a Sam Darnold fan. He's a U.S. as you know, I'm a Ohio State first, USC second for me in terms of schools that I like.
Football.
Football, yeah. Um, but I think Seattle got a bit lucky because I think they would have signed Geno Smith if they could have worked something out. I think Sam Darnold was still Plan B for them. Sam Darnold was certainly not Plan A for them.
That's fine. I think, I think, Geno Smith is kind of like Sam Darnold. Like, you're a good, solid quarterback, but I don't know that you can take us anywhere. It's interesting because I don't, the thing about Sam Darnold is he had worked with Kubiak in San Francisco,
Hmm.
and that's why they liked him. And that's why they gave him a shot in Seattle because Kubiak, the offense coordinator, was familiar with him and
Hmm.
said, "Hey, I saw some things in San Francisco that I think we can take advantage of
Hmm.
and go make it happen if we
Hmm.
get him here because I already know him. He's familiar." The offense, he's familiar with it because I'm
Hmm.
bringing it from San Francisco. So I
Hmm.
think all those things helped him fit. And so now the question becomes, because remember, this is a show about the intersection of sports and money. Sam Darnold's got another year left on his deal.
I think
He's really got 2 years
he's
left,
got
but one
two.
of them's
Yeah.
affordable.
What the
So,
second year is avoidable? I didn't know that. Yeah.
yeah. So the question becomes, when he's up, or he's going to want his contract extension now, what are you paying? Because he's making about 33 million now.
Right.
The quote elite quarterbacks make about 50. So
Hmm.
you have wiggle room between 33 and 50 is the basement for the elite guys.
Hmm.
60, Dak Prescott's at the top.
Hmm.
What do you pay Sam Darnold? And how much did Sam Darnold ask for? Um, his agent is going to be like, he just won a Super Bowl. He's won 28 games the last 2 years.
Hmm.
He needs to make Dak Prescott money. And so you ask for 60 and you come in at 50, 57, 58, 56, somewhere like that. The Seahawks should be like, dude, you're a caretaker. We love you, but
Yeah. I disagree with you. I think he's been a lot more than a caretaker. I think he won in my opinion, he won the Super Bowl. If you think the Super Bowl was the NFC Championship game, you know,
Okay, now
which
there's a
I
good
do,
point.
which I do. He was the MVP of the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship game. He outplayed the best. Okay, he outplayed the best quarterback in the NFC. I saw somewhere. It's not my idea, but I saw somewhere, and I said if you were starting, if somebody was doing this as like an exercise. If you were starting a franchise today, forget the AFC. And you said you're starting a franchise today, considering age, ability, everything. Sam Darnold's 28, which he
I was
seems like.
just looking that up how old
Yeah,
he was.
he's 28. Name, I'll just name some quarterbacks. Who would you take over Darnold? Would you take Jared Goff over Darnold? Would you take
Mm,
would you take Jalen Hurts over Darnold? I wouldn't.
no,
Who are you taking over Darnold in the NFC? I would take Caleb Williams, probably. Probably. Would you take Jordan Love? I
yeah.
take I take Darnold over Love in a second. I think Darnold's much more consistent. But the point being is that you can't. Dak. I would take Dak 5 years ago over Darnold, but I wouldn't take Dak at this age. You know, I don't think there's that many quarterbacks in the NFC who are better than him right now. Would you take Brock Purdy over him?
I'm trying to think. That could be a wash. Um, you know,
It's interesting, right? Yeah.
well, see, here's why it's interesting, and here's I wouldn't pay him yet, and here's why. Because I see that you got 2 years, but here's why I wouldn't pay him yet. I need to see one more year because you're the guy who knows you is gone, Clint Kubiak. I need to know who we replace him with, and can you still thrive and play at the same level? Because the other thing is, I think he led the league in turnovers,
He did. He did. No
and
question.
so
Yeah.
you know, um, that's why to me he's an interesting case. I see
Hmm.
reasons why he'd be like, oh yeah, he's the guy,
Yeah.
and there'd be reasons why he'd be like, nah, you know, he's a. Here's what it is to me. I don't know what the number is, but this appears to be one of those symbiotic relationships. And so, if I were Sam Darnold, I don't have to break the bank. You want respect money, like I deserve this because I've
Hmm.
accomplished this.
Hmm.
But you're also at a point where, for the first time in your 8-year career, you're at a spot where everything's good. Team is good, you're good, environment's good, and like you can't buy that.
Right.
And you've played 4 teams in 4 years.
Hmm.
I'd be like, come close to giving me a respectful number, I'll sign it. If it's 48, it's 48. Because the reality is there's nothing that you can't buy at 35 million that you can't buy at 48 million.
Yeah.
So we're talking about respect money. I need
Yes.
some respect money because I
Uh-huh.
did win the Super Bowl.
Uh-huh.
But other than that, I'm in a good situation for the first time in my career. Let me ride with a young coach and a good team. Let me just ride this thing out. We got a great defense. We got a defensive coach. So it's never going to be incumbent on me to be the focal point and, throw for 5,000 yards and 55 touchdowns because I don't have to do that on this team. I can hand the ball to Kenneth Walker. I can throw to Jackson
Hmm.
Smith and Jigba. I'm good.
Yeah.
And so I would be like, hey, Mr. Agent, get a deal done. Don't act a fool. Don't mess this thing up.
Yeah.
Give me a fair deal, but I'll take a little bit less. I just want to be respected. And
Yeah.
so maybe respect is Brock Purdy money.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I think that's where it's going to land. I do think though that there's other considerations. One is that remember his record including the playoffs over the last 2 years as a starting quarterback is 31-7 on two different teams, right?
Right.
That's an incredible number, right? He worked not with Clint Kubiak last year. He worked in the Viking system last year. So
Mm-hmm.
I think him getting a new OC, I think that's not going to be an issue. I think if I were the Seahawks, I think the Seahawks roster construction is what's most key right now, which is how many of the players right now are headed toward of their key players, particularly on defense, are headed toward new deals, or they're eligible for
Right.
eligible for extensions or free agency or whatever. I think you have to weigh that against the opportunity to sign Darnold. And I think because of what you said and because of where their roster construction currently is, I think that's where they'll land. I think they'll land $1 more than Brock Purdy. I was exactly what I was going to say. And I do think that with I think that'll buy the Seahawks to be in contention for the next 2 to 3 years. But as you know, in the NFL, that's really your window. You get about a 2 or 3 year window, and then it all, kind of changes again. That's, by design. And
Right.
so I think that, yeah, I do think that they definitely won't. I think he'll honor his contract for next year. I think they'll do an extension and pay him more in the third year of his deal. But I agree with you. I think it's $1 more than Brock Purdy gets.
Yeah. And if you take care of it now, you can still spread it out over 6 years and
Yeah.
really give him a much bigger bonus, affect the signing, affect the cap number. And even though he's making 50 million or whatever it is, you can take his cap number down to
Yeah.
25 or 20 and really maximize it for a couple
Yeah.
years and sign some of those guys that you need to sign
Yeah.
to remain in contention because you play in a tough division. Like there's no reason to think that the Rams are going away, and there's no reason to think that San Francisco is going away. Uh,
Oh, I think San Francisco's going to have a down year next year.
really, I say
Yeah.
that because their coach is terrific. Whatever they got, he seems to figure out how to win. Now, why do you think they're going down next year?
I think they're, I think they lost Salah, so I think the
Right.
defense, so I think their defense is going to take a step back. I think a lot of their skill position players, who knows what's going to happen to George Kittle. Um, Christian McCaffrey's hitting sort of that traditional running back cliff, which everybody hits but Adrian Peterson. Once you hit about 30, you hit that cliff. Brock Purdy is injury prone. Uh, and to your point, I think they play in a really good division. So I think they're going to take a step back this year. I think the two best teams in the NFL by far this year were the Rams and the Seahawks. And I actually think the Rams might have been a better team, but
Right.
the Seahawks, for whatever reason, had their number. Um, but I look at the NFC also, and I think who are the best teams in the NFC next year, and who are going to be the best, and I think about your Cowboys are a little bit of a mess because they have no defense, and it's looks like, I don't think they're going to have a good year next year. And I look at the teams in the NFC next year. I think the Giants will probably be a little bit better next year. But I don't see any great team emerging. I think the three best teams are, this is unusual, are going to stay the three best teams next year, which I think are going to be maybe the Lions may get better, but I think the Bears are going to be really good. I think the Rams are going to be really good, and I think the Seahawks are going to be really good. And what's interesting to me is that I think those are probably three of the best 4 to 5 quarterbacks in the NFC as well.
What about the Packers?
No, I want to be a Jordan Love guy. I want to be a fan of his, and I think his talent is good. I think he's way too inconsistent. And they play in a very tough division also.
Yeah.
So I think, do they think now they have their roster reminds me a little bit of Seattle's in terms of like the speed and athleticism and kind of the sheer aggression that they have on defense, and they got a lot of young guys who can really play. I just don't see the consistency there. I don't see how they make, a 3 or 4 game run in the playoffs. I just don't see it.
Fair enough. Um, so yeah, the bottom line for me is, hey man, I think Seattle is going to make $10 billion selling the Seahawks. We just don't know when it's going to happen.
Yep. Bottom line for me is listen, they're gonna be able to sell the franchise for. I think that's about right. I think that's exactly the figure that I would land on is about 10 billion. And if they do that, they can pay Darnold a little bit more than Brock Purdy. Yeah.
Um, we've been talking about this for quite a while, which
Hmm.
is the streaming bundle, whether, how you get your sports, how
Yeah.
you consume, how you gather them. And, so YouTube TV
Yep.
Favorite of mine. Um, did I tell you how I got to YouTube TV? Here's how I got to YouTube TV.
Hmm.
I was walking around my house, and it's not that I have such a big house,
Uh-huh.
but it's big enough. And I had gotten my direct TV bill. Now this was about, I can't even remember when, but I made one of those decisions like right then.
Right.
And I looked at my direct TV bill and I was probably paying like $150 for boxes
Hmm.
because I'm a TV guy. So I had
Hmm.
like 9 TVs throughout
Oh, you
my
mean for
house.
the cable box rentals too?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I just said, this is the biggest racket out there.
Right.
And I like called him up and said, take it away in a matter of like 30 minutes. It
Hmm.
just hit me one day.
Hmm.
And I got on YouTube TV and I go, this is great. I can stream everything. Internet's okay, fine. You got it. I'm down. I'm with
Hmm.
you. And I'm still with them, but hey man, I'm for who gives me the best choice and the best options.
Right.
Although I'll never go back to DirecTV. I just can't do it.
Right.
I feel like they stole so much money from me over the years. I can never forgive them for it. It's like you know nothing about this. My first car, my mother said, "I love you, but I'm not co-signing. I'll
Wait,
help
wait.
you."
Is this the Carbon Gia?
No,
Oh,
this is my first
oh, okay.
car that I
Okay.
bought after college.
Okay.
I wish I had the
Oh,
Carmen Gear right now.
oh, okay.
I had a white Carmen Gear. I get sad talking about it.
Yeah.
My mom said, "I love
You
you,"
got to tell everybody the nickname for the car was Blade, right?
because it looks so sharp.
I know. There you go.
Um, and my mom said, "I love you, but I'm not co-signing for a car. I'll go out and help you look so that you don't get taken advantage of."
Hmm.
Now, mind you, I'm coming right out of college. I have no bills, but I have no credit.
Hmm.
Dude, I bought a Nissan Stanza
Right.
and they hit me for 21% credit
Oh
interest.
my God. Are you kidding? That's crazy.
Yes. And so about a year or two later, I'm like, I understand what credit is. I understand interest rates a lot better now. And I go, I will never, ever buy another Nissan because you took me to the woodshed
Hmm.
in a way that you didn't have to take me.
Hmm.
So that's how I feel like DirecTV. They stole so much money from me over the years. I just can't go back.
I, I, I
Uh,
I totally understand it. So yeah, YouTube TV this week came out with an announcement that everybody was more or less expecting, which was they have a sports only plan, which is something that a lot of sports fans have wanted. So you can just subscribe to YouTube TV. You don't have to get the entertainment channels. So that means, so that means no Bravo and no Real Housewives for you, Jacques. So you can't have that anymore.
nope.
Um, but you don't have to take the entertainment channels. You don't have to take the news channels if you want. You don't have to take anything else. You just get the sports channels, and you
This
do
is
get
great.
you get the networks ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox. You do get TNT as well, and TBS, which have a lot of sports to it, and you get most of the other channels. The NBC Sports Channel, CBS Sports Channel, FS1, all the ESPNs, and everything like that. So it's pretty good, and you get the NBA, NFL. You don't get MLB, but you get it's as good of a bundle that's probably out there.
I didn't see anything that was missing. Like, wow, they don't have
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It's pretty good. And that's six. I'm just looking at the side here. That's $65 a month for that. Um, Fubo has something that actually, they don't have NBC on it. They have a sports package. They don't have NBC on it, which I think is a big miss because NBC has a lot of, especially if you want,
Yeah.
has a lot of live sports. So they don't have NBC, but that's $56 a month. And your favorite DirecTV is is about $70 a month.
And
And it
what's the
has
biggest difference between? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, but again, DirecTV doesn't have CBS on it. So I think of all the three choices, I think YouTube TV Sports is probably the best choice. Now, what I did is, like you, I said I still am one of the 12 people in the United States that still has a cable subscription. So I actually looked at my bill to
Right.
figure out what am I actually paying for in total for TV, including the boxes and everything, right?
Right.
Um, so I looked at that and I'm paying for the TV service itself, I'm paying $112. And this I get all the entertainment channels, but I also get the regional sports networks here. So I get all the New
Right.
York regional sports networks, which the YouTube sports thing doesn't include. So that's
Right.
100 that's 112. And then I pay 18 bucks a month for a DVR, which I can't even believe I pay that. And then I pay $28 for boxes. Okay. So in total I pay 158, right?
All right.
Okay. But forget the DVR and the boxes, which are the ripoffs that, made you angry
Right.
when you had DirecTV. I started looking and I said, okay, let's say I get YouTube here, $65 a month, but I want the RSNs. I want, the Yankees, the Knicks, the Mets, the Devils, everybody here, which I have now on my system.
Right.
I can't get that on YouTube. That's going to cost me about, uh, depending on the plan, that's going to cost me about, I don't know, $35, about $30 a month. Okay.
Right.
Anyway, the long and short of it is, but also on my current cable channel, I get all the news channels. Okay. So
Right.
if I were to add the news channels back into YouTube TV Sports, and then add the RSNs here, my total cost to sort of replicate what I currently have is about $114 a month. And what I pay my cable guy right
Yeah.
now is $112 a month. So if you
So you
take out the DVR and the boxes, which you cited as the ripoff, it's the exact same price. How about that? And that's exciting because that's a really good podcast to give lots of numbers and add them up back to back. That's how you really build a big
no,
audience.
I think
But
so. It's
yeah,
no, I was trying to figure out. It's funny how you did it like that because my wife had a question about something last week with her business, and I go, check this out. Everything is a numbers game. I
yeah,
said, just add up what you're spending,
yeah.
add up what you think this other deal is worth, and just look at the numbers, and the
Right,
numbers will literally tell you
right.
whether it's a good decision, a bad decision, or whether is it worth all this trouble to make or save this much money. It's just a numbers. Everything's a numbers game.
Yeah,
So once you figure that out, I think it makes it easy to move in life because you don't have to spend all this time.
right,
Oh, should I
right.
do? Should I do? Nah, just look at the numbers. The numbers 99% of the time will tell you what to do.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that the actual amount that I pay for cable, where I get all the entertainment channels, all the news channels, everything, and all the RSNs, it's actually a better deal than YouTube TV Sports, the news channels, and the RSN. But because it's a cable subscription, you get dinged with the box fees, you get dinged with the other
All
fees.
right.
So you can't take that away. So I will switch over to YouTube TV Sports and I will add the news. So that together is like $72. And then I add the RSNs, which is about, I think it's about 30 to 40, whatever it is. And but I won't have the other, the extraneous extra costs you get from, having the privilege to have a cable box in your house.
Yeah.
So
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 yeah,
you
so
you
I'm
end
gonna
up
make that.
winning.
So I'm gonna make that decision. But what's really surprising to me is if you actually isolate what you're paying for the content, it's about the same.
Now here's my question: why do you, in general, for a business thinking about a consumer, why do you think they want a sports package that doesn't have NBC if you're FUBU? Because
They didn't. They
FUBU,
can't. They can't negotiate it. They can't negotiate it properly.
like they can't come to an agreement with whatever
Yeah.
the fee. I was gonna say because the NBC now has you got the NFL game of the week,
Yeah.
and you've got like maybe you don't care about the Olympics, but then you've also got the NBA now, and so like who wants that? If that I mean that's a big part of your deal, and
Yeah.
then CBS is a little more likely, but even CBS has got some stuff you might want.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to get, so they don't have it's a rights deals issue that they
Yeah.
probably haven't negotiated. That's it. The other thing that you do get with all three of the sports plans, though, is you get the new ESPN Unlimited, which I think actually adds a decent amount of value to the
What
package.
is remind me? What is ESPN Unlimited going to be?
ESPN Unlimited is basically essentially everything that ESPN offers, with the exception
Anything
of
that comes on in the
Yeah, with
ESPN.
the exception, I think, of specific pay-per-view things, but essentially, like, now I have no idea what I have from ESPN. Sometimes stuff works, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
There used to be an ESPN Plus. That's something different now. So
Right.
I think it's
It's whatever programming they have, you got access to it.
yeah, essentially is what it is, which I think is probably, it's
I'm
probably
uh I'm excited about it, man, because I think I told y'all I literally don't watch anything on YouTube TV except sports.
Right.
Like I mean, I was sitting here thinking about it. Like I went through and I edited all my channels to almost the sports package and a few others. I
Hmm.
like to watch animals chase each other, so I have the National Geographic stuff.
Right.
But the real talk is you can watch all that on YouTube. Like you don't need the channel for it. If you want to see a lion go chase down a zebra, you can watch YouTube all day long and get as
Hmm.
many videos as you want.
Hmm.
And so I really only use it for sports right now. So it makes my life easier because it's now it really will only be sports and it'll be cheaper. My wife doesn't watch it. All she wants to know is, do I have Netflix? If she's
Right.
got Netflix,
She's
she's
good.
good.
That's good.
She doesn't care about anything else.
Yeah.
Um, and so, I think it makes it a lot easier. I'm gonna save a couple dollars and I'm always down for that.
Yeah, well, I think it's more. I think you save the money, but also I think it's great for consumer choice.
Bro, I'm
It
all
really
about consumer choice.
it's and it's a and YouTube TV is a very. I actually think the interfaces and the products of all three, DirecTV, Fubo, and YouTube TV, are all pretty decent. It's certainly better than cable because they say they make a little bit more sense.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so I think it's great that it gives you consumer choice. I think it gives you far more flexibility because for me to cancel cable right now is something I'm going to have to plan to do. And then I got to figure out how to return the boxes. I'm going to have to figure out
Right.
where you want to cancel YouTube TV for a couple of months, you click a button and you cancel it for a couple of months.
And
So, of
I've done that before. I think
course.
whether I did it last year or the year before, because remember I told you I only watch it for sports. So there's a time
Yeah.
during the late spring and summer where there's really nothing I want to see. I canceled it for 2 or 3 months and then started it back up right around the time football season started
Sure.
in August.
Sure. I think that's not uncommon at all. And yeah, so I think, so I actually I'm happy to see that there's a bundle in there. What I think is really surprising to me is that the sports bundle $65, the news and sports bundle is $72. So that tells you one of two things. It tells you that they're charging a lot more for sports than they need to, which is
Right.
probably true. Or they value of the news channels isn't that great. And I think it's probably more the former than the latter, but still, I mean, so for me, adding $7 a month to get the news channels, which I do for some other work that I do need to have, sometimes have news channels on, and I work with a lot of them in different ways. I need to have that, but that's to me, I think that's a great thing for consumers right now. I really
Did this, we talked about this a few weeks ago. Did this happen faster than you thought, or is this about how long you thought it would take? Because it seemed like we was just arguing about what the hell are they doing blacking out ESPN on YouTube TV like a month ago, but I mean I'm sure it was a couple months ago.
yeah.
And now they've already got their bundle package together.
Yeah, I think it was inevitable. I think the when ESPN went direct to consumer last year,
Right.
I think from that point on, everything was going to move. It was just going to move because that really was the first time. Although ESPN says they're doing it, and I'm sure it's true to reach a different set of consumers, those who wouldn't subscribe to cable
Right.
TV, they wanted to reach them directly. But still, for ESPN to offer a direct to consumer product while that the cable bundle still existed, to me was sort of the biggest signal that you know what, this is inevitable now. The other thing too is that there was a company that was contemplated called I forget what the name of the company was. Um, it's a Venue. It's called Venue. That was designed to essentially create a company that was essentially a sports bundle. Fubu had that blocked in court. When that
Right.
when that fell apart, Fubu had started offering its sports package. So did DirecTV. It was just inevitable that this would happen. But YouTube is so much bigger and so much more influential that's why this package right now, to me, is kind of when we look back 5 years from now, this is going to be really a critical juncture in the delivery of sports video to consumers in the United States for sure.
Cool. Bottom line for me, hallelujah, thank you, Jesus, or whoever you pray to. We got sports bundles coming.
Yeah. Bottom line for me, it looks to me like it's going to be a great product. It's great for consumer choice. and it seems to be a fair price, and I'm all for that.
Now it's time. Y'all didn't really think we were going to get away without talking some Buckeye stuff, right? So now it's time for a little Buckeye football. Did you think there was any way possible for Seattle to win the Super Bowl with Jackson Smith and Jigba having a very quiet game?
I did, but not for the right reason. I thought that, the Patriots, maybe I did for the right reason. I thought the Patriots would just try to take JSN away and would focus on that. And I thought he'd have to go somewhere else, but I thought he'd have to go somewhere else in the passing game. But I guess, AJ Barner, I think, had a very underrated game. He had a very, very good game. And so to answer your question, yeah, I did. I just thought Seattle was just a lot better team. I kept looking at it and I was thinking, you know, New England couldn't score against, unless CJ Stroud gave the game away. They couldn't score against anybody, So,
Well, I look at it like this. I wondered this before the game if Christian Gonzalez, who's from Dallas,
he had a
right
great
out
game
suburban
too.
Dallas,
He had a great game.
if he would match up with Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's from suburban Dallas. And I came away from the Super Bowl thinking, I heard a lot of hype about Christian Gonzalez. I've seen him play, and I know he's good. That dude's phenomenal.
He's great.
He's phenomenal. He saved a couple touchdowns with
I
great
agree.
plays. One of them to Smith and Jigba at the end of the first half, I thought was 6. And then another one late he came, and I don't know who was running that deep post where
It
he
was
knocked
Shaheed.
Shaheed, where he knocked
Yeah,
it down at the last second.
yeah.
And then Darnold missed on a broken play,
Oh my
missed
gosh.
Smith and Jigba
Yeah,
for what would have been about a 70 or 80-yard
yeah.
touchdown early in the game. He broke from the pocket. Smith and Jigma read his body language and got escaped from whoever was covering him. And he didn't have a defender within 5 yards of him. Would have been a big touchdown. But outside of that, he was pretty quiet. And to be honest with you, I thought if Christian Gonzalez spent enough time on him, he would be pretty quiet because he's just that good. And they kind of canceled each other out. And then somebody else would have to make a big play. So Smith and Jigba goes 4 for 27. But he's got a Super Bowl ring.
He does. And yeah, I think you're right about Christian Gonzalez. I think the Seahawks left at least 3 touchdowns on the table. The 2 great Christian Gonzalez plays and the broken play that you said. I mean, I think this game could have been, you know, 20 points worse. I could have been
Yeah.
like, yeah, it was a complete
Well,
lot.
my only question about it was, and I put this out on X Twitter a couple different times, was Seattle's clearly the better team. Seattle's dominating the game, but it's 6-0, which means you're one busted, broken,
That's true.
stupid play
Yeah.
from the other team having the lead. Even when it was 12-0, I was like, they're dominating the game, and here's what happened. They got 2 plays. It's 12-7. They get a 3 and out, and now they've got momentum. And if they can do anything, and you can make it 19-14, now it's a ball game.
Yeah.
But again, they had to punt at that point, and then it was, or they threw an interception,
Right.
and then it was over.
It was over.
Because you kept kicking these field goals, you were dominating the game, but it didn't feel like, it felt like it could turn at any moment with the right play.
You know what it reminded me of, and I don't know the exact year. And Ohio State was playing Clemson in this was in the BCS era in the national semifinals. And
Right?
Ohio State was dominating Clemson in the first half, totally dominating them, but they kept kicking field goals.
Yeah.
And they came back and they came back, and that's what bit them in the end against Clemson. They absolutely dominated them in the first half. Clemson made some adjustments in the second half, and they ended up winning, just barely beating Ohio
Right.
State in that game. To me, it looked like the Patriots didn't make any adjustments at halftime. That's the ironic thing. I couldn't see a difference in their game plan.
I don't think they had any to make. They were not an explosive offense. And I thought,
That could be.
My second guess was, when you don't have an explosive offense and you're struggling, you need to do whatever you can to get the ball in the hands of whatever explosive players you got, whether it's Stephon Diggs or Trevion Henderson, or maybe even Butte, but they just
But you
You
were
know,
texting me. You were texting me during the game saying they got to get it to Trevion Henderson, Ohio State's Trevion Henderson. We should say.
yeah,
Yeah.
just because he's one of the few big play guys they have,
Right.
maybe he can make a guy miss, get you 30 or 40. Maybe he can take it to the house. Maybe he can do something to spark because Ramondre Stevenson is a station to station guy.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
not really going to provide the big play with any kind of regularity.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No.
it was good to see Jackson Smith and Jigba get a ring. And I think I told y'all, it's wild to me the defensive tackle Byron Murphy, who had 2 sacks
He had
and
a good
a
game.
fumble recovery,
Yeah.
played on the same high school team as my son, who was a
Amazing.
year ahead of him.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And
That's.
so I text my son after the game. I go, I don't want you to feel like a loser, but Murphy's making $3 million a year and just won a Super Bowl ring and had 2 sacks.
Right.
And you're working a security job before you go to class tomorrow. So let's get on it, bro.
Yeah, but it was who I think no one's talked enough about, who I thought had an absolutely, we're a little off track, but who had an absolutely phenomenal Super Bowl
Who's that?
was Michael Dixon, the punter for
Oh
Seattle.
no. On the other podcast I do, Jacques Talk, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, on all these same local stations.
Mhm.
We said part of the thing is Seattle played just a mistake-free game. Their offense was solid, their defense was phenomenal, their kicker was excellent, and their punter was out of his mind. I said he put him inside the 10 like 3 times.
He's a great punter. I've followed this guy for years. He
Is
is.
that right?
Oh my gosh, he is. You should read about. He's an amazing punter. He really is. I think he's the best punter in the league by far. And I thought he was. I thought he was more. I thought he was a weapon in
No, it
that game.
was.
He
When
really
your
was.
defense is playing like that,
Yeah.
and you have to think about it this way, just the demoralizing thing from New England, like it's so hard to move the ball against this team. Now we got to start these drives at the 5, the 4, the 1, the 8. Like, even if we move the ball good, we're gonna get to midfield and have to punt. Because
Yeah.
we're not gonna be able to go 90 yards for a
Yeah.
touchdown.
Yeah.
So no, I thought he was terrific.
You know what? You know what else I read today? That uh, Drake May had more passing yards in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl than any quarterback had in history.
Dude, when I looked at the stats, I couldn't believe he had 295 yards passing.
Right.
I was shocked. I was like, where did these come from?
Well, I think he had something like 60 yards passing going into the
Yeah,
fourth quarter. Yeah.
it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing. So it's Seattle's world right now.
Yeah.
Uh,
At least we got some Ohio State representation in there, which is always good.
yeah, we didn't get a national championship, but we got that. So
Right.
what
There
can
you go.
say? Hey, remember to subscribe, rate, review the show. We appreciate it. He's Jeremy Pink. I'm Jean-Jacques Taylor. Until we chat again, keep in mind on your sports and your money.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.